Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. My name is Jennifer Mnookin, and I have the tremendous good fortune of being Dean of the UCLA School of Law. Thank you. I began as Dean last August, so this is the first chance I have to welcome all of you to an Alumni of the Year Awards luncheon. Though I'm new to the deanship, I think I'm still a baby dean. Maybe I'm hitting toddlerhood just barely. But I'm not new to UCLA. I was on the faculty for 10 years before beginning this position. And so it's a tremendous honor to get to help lead a school that I already knew, that I loved so very much. I'm so delighted to have all of you here with me today to celebrate two of our tremendously impressive alumni, David Lash and Michelle Banks. Woo! I know they're joined here by many friends, family members, colleagues, and alums of our institution. And so thank you. Thank you for coming out to celebrate them and their tremendous achievements and our institution. They are two of our most distinguished alums, and their careers and their lives truly do exemplify the values and the missions of the law school. If I had to characterize that mission in just two words, I think it would boil down to access and excellence. And I'm not going to say too much about the law school today because we're really here to celebrate them. But I will say just a word or two about each of these core values of the UCLA School of Law and why they mean so much to us. I want to start with access. UCLA, as all of you know, is a public law school. And it's very important to us both to create opportunities for all of our students and also to create opportunities for some students who might not otherwise have had the chance to be at law school. And I do believe that we are succeeding. We are one of the most socioeconomically diverse top law schools in the country. We continue to give significant need-based financial assistance at a time when many of our peer schools are no longer giving financial aid based on need. Currently, about a third of our entering class identifies as African American, Asian American, Latino, or Native American. And we've been roughly 50-50 in terms of gender balance, but I admit to being somewhat pleased that this year's entering first-year class that's now just completing their first year are 53% female. Yes, exactly. We'll celebrate that. We also have a generous loan repayment plan for those who pursue public interest opportunities. And I think this kind of back-end support to encourage those who want to pursue government or public interest is an incredibly important thing for our law school to continue. We also provide generous stipends to students who work at public interest organizations over the summer. And in fact, I learned recently that until the UC system just announced some generous funding for this purpose, we were the only UC law school, including our sister school to the north, Berkeley, that provided stipend support to students who wanted to do public interest work for both of their summers within law school. We also offer a number of postgraduate fellowships for students who want to go into public interest and need that help finding that first position without experience. We recently also announced a tuition guarantee program that some of you might have seen for entering California resident students who begin the JD program in the fall, so that they could have certainty about their level of tuition over the full 3 years, at a time when most of our peer schools continue to raise their tuitions by 3 to 5% every year. So all of these are ways that we try to make that important value of access a cornerstone of what we do. There's also a variety of ways in which we try to give back to the community through this value of access. And I think you can see that focus on giving back and on access in the work of both of our honorees and how they've embraced a real commitment to serve the legal profession and their communities. A quick word about excellence. We are the best value legal education in the top 20. I have a whole little chart that can show that. I won't display it here, but it's out there, and I'd be delighted to share it with any of you. But the fact that we're the best value doesn't mean that we aren't offering an absolutely first-rate education. I do believe that at UCLA Law School, our students learn from the best. Our faculty members write tremendous books and articles. They win teaching prizes, lots of other awards. They testify before Congress. They blog. They're public intellectuals. They get lots of acclaim for this. One of our colleagues was just featured in a book of just, I think, around 26 law teachers around the country in what the very, very best law professors do. And he's just one of many truly superb faculty members that we have. Our research programs and centers complement our curriculum and do make real contributions in addressing some of the most challenging and critical issues of our time. From research that played a leading role in the marriage equality, the Williams Institute was cited in virtually every judicial opinion in that area. Critical race studies does conferences looking at such a huge variety of issues. The Mnookin Institute on Business Law and Policy does tremendous things, including business law breakfasts that I hope some of those in this room sometimes come to. The Emmett Institute on Climate Change is also doing amazing things. And the problem with listing them is I'm now leaving some out. So just trust me, there are more, and they're really doing tremendous, making tremendous contributions that I would love to talk to any of you about. But it isn't just our faculty and our current students. It's our alums, and many of those of you in this room are our alums. And I'm so proud of the way that our alumni careers flourish and continue to people do such amazing things. Our alums are remarkable, and they are also supportive and active in our community. They're regularly listed in Super Lawyers, Rising Stars, and other top attorney listings. We have more alumni judges on the Ninth Circuit than any other law school, which is pretty cool. And in every area, our alumni truly are changing the landscape of the legal profession. And they're also staying engaged with us and giving back to other kinds of public interest organizations and to their law school with their time, their talent, their resources, through mentorship, through pro bono work, and philanthropically. And I'm tremendously grateful for that. That really is what makes an enormous difference to our institution. And so that takes me to the reason we're gathered here today, our Alumni of the Year Awards. The purpose of this is to honor the extraordinary achievements of our UCLA Law alumni. And one of the difficulties is there are so many phenomenal alumni that it is difficult to choose among the wealth of opportunities. The award for public and community service particularly goes to recognize somebody for their leadership and commitment to public service and philanthropy. And the award for professional achievement recognizes distinguished career accomplishments of all kinds and contributions made to the profession. And I will note that today we have a number of past recipients in the room. And I have to say it's always dangerous to give a list like this because I'm terribly afraid that maybe I'm missing somebody. So if I do, please tell me, forgive me, but I do want to make just brief mention of Nancy A. Bell, Jim Burrell, Judge Norm Epstein, and Judge Kim McLean Wardlaw, and Andrea Orden, all of whom are past recipients who are in the room today. For additional examples of alumni distinction, please do look in your program. And I will also say that I have no doubt we have future Alumni of the Year awardees in the room too. So come back and see what's up next. And today we are really delighted to add two remarkable alumni to that list. David Lash, our honoree for public and community service, and Michelle Banks, our honoree for professional achievement. We can't give them too much applause. So. For me as dean, our alumni are absolutely the lifeblood and the legacy of this institution, of UCLA Law School. And their great success and achievements define who we are. In the fall, I told our entering class at convocation that UCLA Law School is a place from which they can do anything, that they can be anybody they want to with this foundation. And I tried to describe how our goal, our hope, our passion is to train both lawyers and leaders. And, to say our alumni are shaping the legal landscape, that sounds like decanal hyperbole. And I'm not above a little decanal hyperbole from time to time. But in this case, with these two people, there's nothing hyperbolic about it at all. You don't need to look any further than the examples set by both David and Michelle for proof that what we tell our students is true. Their breadth of experience, their achievements, and their commitment is truly impressive. And I'm incredibly proud that they count as among our alums. I'm also tremendously grateful for the way that both of them have remained actively engaged in the life of our law school and give back in a variety of ways. I'm going to just describe each of them briefly, and then we're going to continue with a wonderful tradition we have here at this award ceremony, where each honoree gets to select somebody to do their introduction. So I'm going to do kind of the short version from an institutional perspective, and then I'll be calling up somebody of their choice to, in very personal ways, describe how remarkable each of these people is. But first, I will say just a brief word about each of them. So first, David Lash. David has spent his career promoting access to justice for the most vulnerable communities. From his work in support of low-income, elderly, and disabled clients as the executive director of Bet Sedec, to his leadership of O'Melveny's worldwide pro bono program, David is intimately engaged in the kinds of lawyering that make a difference, give back, and change lives. His work has touched the lives of so very many clients and given them hope and given them a pathway to justice. He has been and remains a person that so many call on for advice. He has also been a fantastic mentor and resource for many of our students with public interest inclinations and desires. And he continues to serve as an integral partner in supporting our public interest program and our Office of Career Services. We're hopeful that perhaps he might be teaching our Introduction to Lawyer-Client Relationship class this fall. How to put him on the spot, right? Which is an innovation it's just a couple of years old, and it's expanding out to the entire first-year class, where we're trying to introduce students to the introduction to the lawyer-client relationship and the importance of developing their interviewing skills, not in the OCI sense of interviewing, but in the sense of learning to interview clients from the very beginning. And this course, every class is a partnership with a practicing attorney and somebody who's at UCLA. He's been called by others both a pioneer and a rock star, and rightfully so. And we are so proud to call him a UCLA Law School alum. Now, Michelle also has a remarkable and distinguished track record of professional success, including her most recent role as the Executive Vice President and Global General Counsel, Corporate Secretary, and Chief Compliance Officer of Gap Incorporated. Throughout her career, she's been passionate about, in particular, addressing the challenges that women face in the legal field. Now, I've had the great good fortune of getting to know Michelle through her work with our alumni initiative, UCLA Law Women Lead, which she co-chairs with Nancy A. Bell, who's also here with us today. And Michelle was absolutely instrumental in helping us conceptualize and build the LEAD network, and to thinking about what we could do as an institution to bring our female alums together, to empower them, to connect them to each other and to this institution. And I mean, I don't mean to sound facetious about this, but to create an old girls network that rivals that which the men perhaps have had for a longer period. And Michelle's personally embodies the qualities that this initiative stands for: leadership, empowerment, advancement, and distinction. She's helped to bring the UCLA law community together behind this vision of empowering women. And she's also exemplified these forms of leadership within every board meeting, every conference call, every time that we engage, the ways that she connects out to the more junior members of our organization, the way that she's able to build and support the ideas of others while still sort of making sure that we stay on a pathway towards our ultimate goal. And her efforts to offer fantastic programming, to contribute to mentoring, networking opportunities, to create this platform, which has more than 1,000 of our female graduates on it already electronically. And if you're a female alum and you're not part of that network, you better right after this event go home and sign up. And the ways that she's helped us think about meaningful intergenerational connections at the law school and what those could look like has been nothing short of dazzling. So Michelle truly embodies the values that we work so hard to instill in our graduates, and we applaud her continued commitment to equity and to excellence. So here's to you. This gives you a very brief sense of some of the ways that David and Michelle are both truly remarkable individuals. They're both making tremendous contributions, giving back as part of their lives, and showing what success can look like in a very generous and capacious way. It's now my great pleasure to do the first introduction, and this will be of Ryan Lash. Ryan is David's daughter. And she will be presenting the award for public and community service to her father. Ryan just graduated from the University of Michigan with honors and majored in screen arts and culture and screenwriting. She's following in her father's footsteps in that she's already volunteering at organizations throughout Los Angeles. She did that in high school as well as during college, although presumably some of that was in Michigan rather than LA. Her sister, who lives in Spain, unfortunately couldn't be here today. They would have loved to present this award together to their father as a testament to both his personal success in supporting his family and an honor of his many professional accomplishments. And I would have to say, as a parent, the idea of my children ever standing up and recognizing me in this way is something that I mean, perhaps I have adolescence, so this explains why, but it gives me goosebumps. And so I want to say it's really a tremendous pleasure, Ryan, to invite you to the stage to introduce your father and describe why we're all so pleased that he's going to get this award.
So there's no better honoree for this year's UCLA Alumnus of the Year Award for Community and Public Service than this year's recipient. As the Managing Counsel for Pro Bono and Public Interest Service at O'Melveny & Myers, and for many years before, my dad has truly made a huge difference for people around the country and around the world. He was the longest-serving executive director for Betsedic, one of the most renowned legal aid organizations, providing free, high-quality, compassionate legal representation for thousands of elderly, poor, and disabled clients. Under his leadership, Betsedic added initiatives including projects helping low-wage workers recover earned wages that they were cheated out of, expanding services to needy Holocaust survivors, providing legal representation for family caregivers, and helping victims of vicious real estate fraud schemes. He was named one of the state's 100 most influential lawyers. He started Betsedic's endowment fund, and he started the Justice Ball, which 20 years later continues to be the best fundraising party of the year. I should know, he snuck me in. For the past 10 years, he has run the worldwide pro bono program at one of the nation's premier law firms, O'Melveny & Myers, almost tripling the size of the program. Under his leadership, O'Melveny's program consistently has been ranked among the top 10 in the country. In that role, he was named a California top 10 lawyer in the country. He was named a California Lawyer of the Year. The firm was awarded the ABA's prestigious Pro Bono Publico Award, and he has led O'Melveny's unwavering commitment to be involved in the most important issues: marriage equality, voting rights, immigration rights, homelessness prevention, and much more. As the president of the Association of Pro Bono Counsel and the chair of the California Legal Services Trust Fund Commission, he has become a strong voice throughout the legal community. With that voice, he has authored more than 100 articles appearing in such publications as the LA Daily Journal, the Jewish Journal, Law 360, and others. He is frequently asked to be a speaker at conferences and events across the country, even including invitations to speak in Asia and Europe. And one of the most unique and exceptional things he has done is to create a nationwide impact project, a first-of-its-kind pro bono program he and ABCO built personally with the Vice President, Joe Biden, creating a network of pro bono projects across the country in a fashion previously unseen, winning awards and acclaim across the U.S. In Los Angeles, the impact program has resulted in a unique program that works closely with a leading domestic violence shelter, providing legal services to women and children escaping abusive and dangerous homes. And he gets to meet annually with the Vice President of the United States. When I was in elementary school, my dad went to Orange County a lot, and he would leave early every morning, and he would come back late every night, and I missed him. He tried to explain to me that he was helping a Holocaust survivor get the rights to her life story back. I was young and I didn't really understand what he meant. Many years later, my family flew to New York to see a show called Irina's Vow. It was the story of an unimaginably brave woman named Irina Updike. She was a Polish woman who risked her life to hide 12 Jews from the Nazis during the occupation. Not only was I extremely moved by the play, I was extremely moved by my father's part in making it all happen. At the conclusion of the play, the actress portraying Mrs. Updike stopped everything and acknowledged my dad, thanking him for making it all possible. Everyone applauded and some people cried, including me. I finally truly understood what had been at stake in all those trips to Orange County. Backstage, Irina's daughter thanked my dad for helping make Irina's dream come true. All Mrs. Updike had wanted was to have her story told and to teach the world about tolerance. My dad had fought in court to get Irina the rights to her life story back, which was transformed into this spectacular and eventually Broadway play. I got to experience the impact my dad had in changing someone's life, and I was overwhelmed with his goodness. He had helped a woman who was herself so selfless, and even though I already knew it, I was in awe of my dad's own selflessness. Beyond his amazing work for the community, the most important thing my dad has really done is raise me and my sister, who really did want to be here today, but she lives abroad. This year's Alumnus of the Year award isn't just an amazing lawyer, he's an amazing father. My dad has been helping people my whole life, so it's no surprise that he's never hesitated to help me with anything and everything. With a pro bono lawyer as a father and a social worker as a mother, I have been impacted in more ways than anyone could imagine. They have been so instrumental in shaping not just my personality, but my affinity for giving back. I was previously in charge of the community service program in my high school, and I have been working at a camp for homeless and underprivileged children in Los Angeles for the past 8 years. And I hope that as I enter true adulthood, I can be half the person that my father has been. One of the things that I admire most about my dad is how hard he works. My whole life, I watched this brilliant man work extremely hard for the people who really need it. I graduated college just 3 days ago, which means I'm about to start my first job. Thank you. I'm really excited and nervous and freaked out all at the same time. But all I have to do is look over at my dad's really extremely encouraging face, and I know that I really can do this. He's helped countless people with the most far-reaching problems, and I know that he will help me through everything. In 2008, I missed witnessing my father receive the UCLA Undergraduate Alumnus of the Year award, so I'm especially honored to be the one presenting this year's UCLA Law School Alumnus of the Year award to the best person I know, my dad, David Lash.
That's my speech. Oh my goodness, Ryan, that's like the meanest thing you've ever done. I can't speak. I can't read my notes through my tears. Thank you. I'm so moved. I can't tell you what it means to me to hear you say those things. I owe you. I'm so proud of all that you and your sister do and the wonderful women you've become that I'm overwhelmed each day. There's nothing I'm more proud of than being Drew and Ryan's dad. So thank you. I feel a bit uncomfortable, as you can tell, accepting this award today. It's recognition for doing what I was taught my whole life was just the right thing. The teachers who taught me that I can live a rich and rewarding life by being concerned, involved, and doing the right things are really the ones who should be recognized here today. For me, those teachers all somehow lead directly back to UCLA. You see, my parents met on campus as students in the 1950s. Ever since I can remember, UCLA was a central place in our family. I grew up hearing about how my parents came of age and discovered their social conscience here. They organized a boycott of a barber shop in Westwood that wouldn't cut the hair of African American students. They marched to ban the bomb. They raised money so a couple of their friends could go to the South and help register black voters. Those are the values that were taught to me by my parents. Those were the stories of my childhood, all nurtured by life on campus at UCLA. I think my parents would have been very proud today. This belongs to them. And my own days at UCLA were full of my own learning. For instance, I took a class called Creative Problem Solving. We learned very sophisticated theories about how to approach issues, dissect them, and deal with them. The final class was a very big event. Professor Moishe Rubinstein, who wrote the textbook, was coming to our class to wrap everything up. And he carefully went through the various theories we had learned, and he explained his theory of affixing numerical values to each problem-solving component, and described for us how to add up those values and come up with the approach that had the highest and best utility. And his final sentence, the last sentence of the class, was, so you add them up, you see which one has the most value as the best way to solve the problem, you learn from that, and then you do whatever the hell you think is right. We were all a little befuddled, but it was the best lesson that I've ever learned. Assess everything that's presented, evaluate everything you can find, understand value, and then never, ever ignore your heart. That was the lesson I learned at UCLA Law School as well. Take what we learn, use the law, the power of our democracy, and use it to protect what we think is right. That's the lesson I took from UCLA into my professional life, to Bethesda, and to O'Melveny and Myers. And UCLA Law School teaches that lesson every single day. Its public interest program is the finest I know of. Its clinical program works directly with clients in need. The professors were inspirations to me then and continue to be now. All I can do is humbly and gratefully say thank you. And thank you to the many people who taught me along the way. To Beth Sedek for taking a chance on me. I was a relatively young guy then, 87 years ago, and entrusting me to help run such an incredible organization that makes such a magnificent difference in the lives of so many people. And to O'Melveny and Myers for creating this amazing job, marshaling the resources of this outstanding firm, following the vision and heart of the late Warren Christopher, and doing what is right and what is just. My deepest thanks to you guys. And thanks to the Ermis family and Wilshire Boulevard Temple for believing I can bring some value to the life-changing philanthropic projects which they spearhead. And thanks to my brother-in-law Stephen and his family, to my sister Karen and her family, and many wonderful friends and mentors, supporters, and people who I am so lucky to have in my life. I'm overwhelmed that so many of you are here today. It just means the world. As a result of all these opportunities I've had and all these people that I have had the honor to meet, I have become a true believer. A true believer that lawyers can make democracy work for those who need it most. That lawyers can do things in the battle against poverty that nobody else can do. That only we can make sure that the most basic necessities of life are not unfairly taken away. That the government, in the person of the judge, has to respond to the poorest and most disenfranchised among us. But this greatest example of one-on-one democracy that the world has ever known works only if there is a committed lawyer making it happen. So bear with me, just a couple of examples. With the Association of Pro Bono Counsel, as you heard from Ryan, I've had the chance to annually lead a meeting with Vice President Biden to talk about issues of access to justice. Together, we've launched a new way of delivering legal services to the poor across the entire country. In Los Angeles, we work with the Genesee Center, a leading domestic violence service center and shelter to provide wraparound legal services to women and children escaping violence, helping them protect themselves and to be safe. One young woman, one young mother, came in disfigured by her abuser who had thrown acid in her face. As only lawyers can do, we helped her find stability and protection. She now has the resources to live safely, far away from her abuser, and is about to receive her college degree. At O'Melveny and Myers, our lawyers work on the issues of the day, following their passions, helping military veterans, making sure families are not homeless, ensuring marriage equality, protecting voting rights, and so much more. And one of the key issues of the day is the stream of children coming across the border, escaping violence and tragedy, an issue which many of our lawyers are engaged in. We've been representing many of these children. We recently represented a young mother and her children who had been in detention. Her older son had been abducted in their home country. Their house had been burned to the ground. They had to flee for their lives. They risked their lives to come to the United States, seeking the promise and safety of our democracy. Only the lawyers could make it work for them, securing asylum and ensuring their future. Another young girl, a teenager, saw things in her home country that no child should ever have to see. She saw her sister brutally attacked by marauding gangs, her brother taken away, never to be seen again. She and her grandmother somehow, through the sheer force of their will, made it to the United States and were in detention. Weeks, if not months later, thanks to the help of a very caring community, they were released and started new lives in the United States. That young girl was my grandmother, escaping the pogroms of Tsarist Russia. As lawyers, that's why we do this work, to pay it forward. That's why I do this work for all our grandmothers of every generation yet to come. So again, thank you, especially to my greatest teacher, the greatest Bruin in my life, my wife Beth. I only wish that I could touch people's lives the way that she does, including each other's lives, with the profound impact that she does every day. There's nothing that I do, that I am able to do, that I get recognized for doing, that is not due directly to her generosity, her support, her inspiration, her creative problem solving, and her love. Thank you, Beth. And thank you all for being here, and thank you deeply to UCLA. I am so very humbled and so very proud and so very grateful. Thank you.
Ryan, your words were beautiful and made many of us shed a tear or two. And David, that was remarkable. In fact, I'm now going to try to see if you'll come talk to our entering class in some capacity, because I think what you had to say about the importance of lawyering was a tremendously important message for all of us to be reminded of and hear. It's now my great privilege to introduce Jesse Kornberg, who's going to give us an introduction and help present the award to Michelle Banks. So Michelle, I guess Jessie and Michelle have known each other for quite a while. Jessie is also one of our graduates. She graduated from the UCLA Law School in 2007, I believe, and has actually connections to both honorees here today. She is now the president and CEO of Bethsedec, a position she began in the fall of 2014, and a position that David held in the past. And she's also worked very closely with Michelle as a founding member of the UCLA Law Women Lead Advisory Board. Jessie, like Michelle, has supported the empowerment of women lawyers throughout her career. In addition to serving as the first female CEO of Bethsedec, she served as the first executive director of Ms. JD, a national voice on issues concerning women in the legal profession. And under her leadership, the organization expanded its reach to 70 campuses in 35 markets, and according to every metric possible, Ms. JD did remarkably well under her watch. And so it's my great pleasure to welcome Jessie Kornberg to then introduce and tell us more about Michelle Banks.
Thank you, Dean Mnookin. Before I begin, I have to say congratulations to David. You are a peerless champion for equity and justice. I am so honored to be a shepherd of your legacy, and I am so glad to be here with you today. Congratulations. Now, it is my great honor and privilege to help present the 2016 Alumna of the Year Award to Michelle Banks. You have heard a little bit already about her achievement and her commitment to excellence. Like all trailblazers, that commitment is the hallmark of so much of her path to this podium today. Long before she was at Gap Inc., she was confounding expectations and breaking down barriers. She was the first in her family to graduate from college. She was the first woman ever in a professional capacity on the corporate headquarters of Itochu in Japan. She was an incredible first, and I think this is a record that remains unbroken, though I'm sure she'll correct me if I'm wrong, one of two people to lead the legal department for the Golden State Warriors, though she had never attended a professional basketball game. That first will remain unbroken, I believe, for all time. And then, of course, there are her achievements at Gap Inc. And I'm going to read this from the page because I could not remember this all by heart if I tried. A dizzying array of responsibilities, including oversight of all franchise services, the entire legal department, corporate governance, government affairs, public policy, privacy rights, corporate integrity, corporate sustainability, all global equity initiatives, and the entire charitable foundation for Gap Inc. worldwide. Okay. It is not a happy accident that in each of these areas, Gap Inc. excels and is an industry leader, not just in their performance and under every economic factor, but also in terms of the way that they recruit and promote great people. Michelle's commitment to diversity and equity in her profession and in ours is seen through the work of Gap Inc., as it is seen through Michelle's commitment to women in the profession throughout her life. At the Gap, women are paid the same as men. I don't know of another company that can say that. And that's not an empty promise because the vast majority of employees at the Gap are women. Every other industry where the majority of employees are women, not only are women paid less than men, but those industries pay less than every other industry peer. The Gap is the exception to every other market norm, and Michelle is a part of that success. It's incredible. She continues that commitment in all other aspects of her professional life. You heard about her work with LEAD. If you are a woman in this room and you have not joined the network, please do so. If for no other reason, then you'll get to meet Michelle. But she has also chaired the board of directors for MCCA for more than 3 years. She is also an incredible leader on the American Bar Association's Commission on Women in the Profession, the leading institution for the National Bar Association concerning women in law. I think more impressive to me than these titles is the work I see Michelle doing with individual women in her department and in her life on a day-to-day basis. Remember the number of departments that she supervised, the number of projects for which she was responsible. And then imagine this. I saw her this year fly to Los Angeles for 3 hours to support a Women in Law event on the UCLA campus. She wasn't speaking at the event. She wasn't being presented with anything at the event. She wasn't in charge of the event. She was there to support the women students who were organizing that event in their endeavor. I have seen her take this mentorship role and this support role countless times in a way that I can't conceive of, except to imagine that she has like the ability to stop time. I will share an example from my own life. I met Michelle for drinks in San Francisco on my way from a meeting to an airport. I could not believe it. I cannot believe it, because she told me there, but it can't be true. She was coming from an all-day board meeting she had arrived at after flying all night. She hadn't seen her family, and she was dead on her feet. And we had drinks, and she asked me how I was doing and how she could help. They're small anecdotes, but for me they have deep meaning. I don't know how many of you can remember what it felt like to be graduating from law school and entering the profession and finding your way. But I can tell you that it was hard to imagine anyone would replicate Michelle's success, and it was simply impossible to imagine that someone like I would. There are trailblazers among us, but they're intimidating. And the fact is that if we're going to continue to see progress in our profession when it comes to equity and when it comes to equality, we need more trailblazers like Michelle. She's bought for me the luxury of mediocrity. I no longer have to be the best in class to get a job. But if we're going to continue to progress, I need to make the same commitment to excellence that she does, and so do all of my peers. When Michelle meets me for drinks, under circumstances that I can't imagine, she obligates me to that commitment, frankly, because she has said to me that I am worth it to her. She has said that it is worth investing in a young person who's just starting out. She has said that she, an expert on this topic, thinks that it's worth her time. And so I have to build the self-confidence and understand how to do this because Michelle has invested in me in that way. It is a remarkable gift and generosity to invest in others in the way that Michelle has. I am the recipient of it and so grateful, but I think better than a thank you, I would instead like to say, I promise to be excellent. I promise to raise my eyes higher. I promise to help others. I promise to be a collaborator. I promise to listen. I promise to continue to figure out how to help those even as I try to help myself. Thank you. You are incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you for that kind introduction. I had tears back at David. Now I'm really trying to hold it together. So Jessie did not mention that I first met her at an American Bar Association meeting. And I found out at that meeting that in addition to being a commissioner, which I was, and I was many generations more senior than her at the time, she was also a litigation associate working around the clock, and she had also founded and been the executive director of Ms. JD. I am so inspired by Ms. JD, but I am more inspired by Jessie as I've gotten to know her, and it has been so pleasing and such a moment of pride to be her friend and to see her become a CEO. It's not every day that a young woman becomes a CEO. So I am very proud of you. Thank you for your kind words. It's been a joy to work with you both on UCLA Law Women Lead and at the ABA Commission on Women. I want to thank you all for being here and for sticking with us. I think we were probably running behind, so luckily I didn't plan to talk too long. I feel really privileged to be here, especially after hearing about David and reading about David. It's an honor to share the day with you. I am grateful to Dean Jennifer Mnookin. You are amazing, and I have so enjoyed getting to know you and getting to work with you. You have very talented staff who have been so supportive of me and what I've tried to do with this initiative. It's been such a pleasure. Jennifer was a long initial faculty supporter before she became dean, and we just couldn't have been more pleased with UCLA's choice of the next law dean. I want to tell the story quickly of Jennifer asking me to accept this award. She called me at my office, and we often communicate, but we communicate more often by email than by phone spontaneously. We are usually organized around phone calls and conference calls. So she called me on a random day at my Gap office. I wasn't expecting it. And she left a message that she needed to talk to me about something. And so, of course, in my mind, I knew I had been a general counsel much too long at this point, because I went through every crisis scenario. Something has happened to Nancy. What bad thing has happened? And it was so surprising and so pleasant when she said, we would like to give you this award. And I was just so stunned, like, it's not bad news? It was very fun, and I am so thankful and grateful, and you and your team are fantastic, and it's a pleasure every day working with you. No one wins any award as an individual. I accept this award today on behalf of that table over there and the women throughout this room who are participating on the board or on a committee related to UCLA Law Women Lead. We are 3 generations of women trying to ensure that the future students are as successful as we have been, and that we leave a legacy that makes a difference and changes lives. And this is really on behalf of all of us, not me, that we are being recognized today. And as Jennifer already mentioned, my co-chair Nancy has already received this award, so she couldn't co-receive it with me. But I do want to give her special thanks. She has more energy than anyone I have ever met, and I have a heck of a lot of energy. And she also has sustained a commitment to the law school for many, many years, and I now consider her a dear friend. So thank you for your partnership as well. I love it that the dean and Jesse both gave my pitch for lead, so I'm going to skip that part, let you get back to your office. When I look back at my time as a student at UCLA, the biggest thing I think about is the lifelong friendships that I made there. They started while I was an undergraduate at 80 Pi sorority, and they continued in my law school class, in my summer program, and in my early career. I really thank the special folks who are here today who have been friends for a long time. It means a lot to me. In college, I had really unique opportunities, and I think this says a lot about UCLA. I took my major classes through the College Honors Program in the Graduate School of Economics. At the same time that I was doing that, I was dancing in the UCLA dance department with a very famous Russian ballet teacher. And I think that that just shows the incredible diversity and uniqueness of the education that UCLA can provide. And if we didn't mention it, I am a double Bruin. I went there undergrad and graduate school. So what do I think I learned in law school? I gave this a lot of thought, and I think I learned how to think. I learned how to think like a lawyer, but I also learned how to think for myself rather than simply reflecting the views of others. I am also very thankful that I spent my entire school years in public institutions. So I am very thankful for this great institution and for the fact that I had the privilege of attending only public schools. I worked at 2 major law firms immediately after graduating from law school. Shepard Mullen, who has a great table here today. I was right here in downtown LA. And then I worked for Morrison & Foerster in Irvine and New York. One of the great personal benefits for me of reconnecting with UCLA through the LEAD initiative has been to make new friends and to reconnect with friends at those two law firms, and particularly at Shepherd, where I learned so much so early in my career. I'm very thankful for that. Jesse mentioned that I took some risks in my career. I started out as a third-year associate, and I really went to Japan for a year with no business experience whatsoever outside the US. As Jesse mentioned, I was the first lawyer in the legal department of a client of Morrison Foerster. Mid-career, when I wanted to move in-house, I took an assignment, as she mentioned, in the legal department of the Golden State Warriors NBA team, having never attended a professional basketball game. When I wanted to move into law department management at Gap, I got the promotion by agreeing to create the company's corporate compliance program when I barely knew what one was, except that every US company needed one. My last step before becoming general counsel, I accepted a vice president assignment to manage the employment litigation team. Emily's laughing right now. And I had never been in a courtroom since I was sworn in as a lawyer. So how did I have the confidence to take the risks that I took and to take all of these positions with so little experience? The answer is sitting in this room. My mother, Yvonne Niven. Now I'm going to cry too. My parents raised me to believe that I could do absolutely anything I chose to do. My mother's uneducated immigrant parents did not support her attending a university. So she was absolutely committed and determined that my sister and I would. When I graduated from UCLA and I wanted to stay to attend law school, she never doubted me, and therefore I never doubted myself. I decided to become a lawyer in elementary school. I did one of those projects where you interview somebody about a potential career. I interviewed my next-door neighbor. He was a lawyer. My next-door neighbor said that law school and becoming a lawyer had a lot to do with reading and writing and talking. I said, I like to do all of that. I guess I'll be one of those too. My parents could not have been more supportive, even though at the time no one in my family had attended graduate school, no one had graduated from a university, but they believed in me. My son was only 6 years old when I became a general counsel. My mom stepped in to help me tremendously over the next 10 years. I am absolutely grateful, and I understand completely that her stepping in and caring for my family was what enabled me to lead hundreds of people in 15 countries. All those titles and functions that Jesse mentioned, they came because I had the rock, my mom, behind me. I mentioned that I worked in Tokyo. It was 1993. Women lawyers were extremely rare in Japan at the time. I was the first woman professional to work in the corporate headquarters of Itochu. This meant I was the only woman who did not serve tea twice daily. 20 years, exactly 20 years after I was the first woman to work there, Itochu made Claire Chino their general counsel. In doing so, Claire became not only the first general counsel, but the first female officer of any kind, not only at Itochu, but at any Japanese trading company. I was so excited I screamed out loud in my office the day I got that news. Claire's promotion to general counsel of Itochu and the small part that I played in opening that door is a highlight of my career, and it's one of the things that inspires me to carry on with LEAD and other endeavors. It's unacceptable to me personally that our profession, which is so critical to the achievement and justice in our society, is the least diverse white-collar profession in America. I've been working to change that since 2007 when I joined the board of Minority Corporate Counsel Association. And I really hope that all of us in this room can work together in the future to bring more diversity and inclusion to our profession. I know that we are not reaching the best legal solutions using the best possible talent until we are a more inclusive profession. and I would invite any of you to join with me in that regard. Thank you to UCLA and all of you.
Thank you so much to our two extraordinary awardees of today. You have nourished us. You have given us food for thought. You have inspired us. I'm also struck by the links to the family in this room, the remarkable presence of your mother and the role that she played in your life, and David, your daughter's remarkable introduction of everything that you stand for. And I feel that we've got both literal family, but we also have a great deal of metaphorical family in this room. Many, many of you have deep connections to the law school. Some of you who don't have connections to the law school have deep connections to one of these two extraordinary people. And I'm reminded that it's these connections, these touch points, these networks, these people with whom we've shared so much and who help us all pay it forward and remember to be our best selves. And that's really what today and this award ceremony is all about. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and thanks especially to the two of you for inspiring us every day and every week. Thanks very much.